Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Power Board this 5th day of July 2022. Looks like we have a quorum here, so we'll go ahead and begin. Still waiting for a couple of members. They should be joining us here shortly. Go ahead and start with an introduction of our newest member. Glad to have him here with us. If you'd go ahead and share your name, a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dick Saunders, and I'm a resident of Washington City for about the last 10 years, and looking forward to participating, hopefully contributing in some way.
Glad to have you with us. We always appreciate having new members, new insights. That's what makes this Power Board enjoyable with the different perspectives. So we appreciate you being here with us. He has already been sworn in, and we'll go ahead and move on with our agenda. Everybody have a chance to review the agenda. Okay, go ahead. Do we have any questions? If not, if we could get a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll go ahead and motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. All right.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Andy, a motion, and Dick, a second. Let's go ahead and start with the vote. Andy?
Yeah, Palmer, aye.
Okay. Dick?
Saunders, aye.
And Spriggs, aye. Then the minutes. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes. Are there any questions on the previous minutes for our last meeting?
Nope.
Dick, did you get a copy of those minutes from the last meeting?
I had a copy, yes. I made a copy.
Okay. All right, perfect. If we have no questions or if we're ready to approve, go ahead and have a motion and a second to approve those.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Andy, motion to approve.
And I'll second.
And Dick, second. Okay, Andy, go ahead and vote.
Yep, Palmer, aye.
Okay, Dick.
Saunders, aye.
And Spriggs, aye. That leads us to our new business. We will go ahead and turn the time over to you, Rick.
I guess, I don't know, since that's the main action item, do we want to wait and see if Mark comes and we can do the report on some stuff, or what's your flavor?
Yeah, he said that he's on his way.
Yeah, and then I would, again,
He's
Mike,
on his way. Let's go ahead and wait.
that one might be my suggestion, just that way have as complete a quorum as we can for the recommendation to the council, so.
Okay.
Kind of a I have no idea. I'm not in this building very often anymore, so I'm not sure. We can maybe do the operations side of things for the city, and then we can do the UAMPS report or the item 4 on the agenda. And welcome, Dick. We're excited to have you, and just jump in and ask questions, and hopefully we'll have answers, and if not, we'll find them. So for the main things that have been going on for locally on the system, we're really close to having things finalized. Well, in fact, the check has been cut to Sitla for the new substation site and the easements there by exit 13. We haven't got the signed documents on all the easements and stuff back, and Jeremy's working on that. So there were two parcels that Sitla had already transferred, one to Signal Peak Health, and the other one's owned by the LDS Church. We have got the easement on the Signal Peak parcel, and we're have a consultant working with the church to get the remaining one on that. So when we get those easements, we'll be able to connect from our existing system all the way to the new substation site with easements. So and we hope to start site work on the substation in this next fiscal year. Probably be in the fall, first part of the year.
So everybody's been contacted and the approvals have been given to grant the easements?
Yeah, the fortunate thing on that project is there's only the three landowners right now. There's Sitla, Signal Peak, and then the church. And if we would have got in a little bit earlier, it would have been all Sitla. So any transfer of the land at that point, the easements will go with that land as well. So that is about as smooth as you're gonna, I think, get easements overall, working with as few of parcel owners as you can. The Exit 11, or the Main Street exit project with UDOT, the design is well underway. Some of the long lead time items right now, the SCS, we've given them a PO to purchase the conduit that we'll need for the directional bores for that project. The poles, wire, conduit are out to bid for that, the material side of things, because they're wanting us to have as much as we can moved out of the way for them when they start their road construction, which will be better for us too if we can just be out of their way. So in order to do that, some of the material items, I don't know, Nikki, were some of them like in the 20 to 30 week range. So that continues to be a challenge, and they're wanting to get started about the first of the year. So we're pretty close to that edge there. So, but that's moving along quite well, and kind of coupled with that, one of our challenges right now is, you've probably tired of hearing about the term supply chain, but it's a real thing that's really affecting us. In fact, the crew came to me last week on a potential project, and we'll probably hold off on doing that for a little while because it would use up a couple transformers we have. And the last order that we ordered in September was supposed to be here in June, and now they're telling us September. So it'll be a year just for, again, just standard distribution pad mount transformers. So again, that's an ongoing thing. It seems like every time we send something out for bid, a new thing, they say, oh, now it's way out. And we're good, and I think we're in really good shape as far as maintenance, but new construction things that we can put off and not use a ton of materials, particularly on the underground side of things. Poles, wire, we've been able to get so far for the overhead part. So our peak electrical load for June was 44.9 megawatts on June 29th, just a couple days ago. In interesting contrast of, we've talked a lot of times that how dependent our load is on temperatures. June was much more mild than last year. Last year's peak was 46.6 without the growth in the middle there. So we were actually just under 2 megawatts lower this year than we were last year. And that's, again, 99% due to weather. I doubt there's a lot of extra conservation that would account for that. It's just the weather wasn't quite as extreme. Wholesale pricing costs from June ranged from about $70 a megawatt hour to about 165. So depending on the day and what the load was doing. Our generators out at the plant have been running really well. We didn't run the first week in June, but since then we pretty much run almost every day. There's 3 or 4 here and there that we haven't run. Again, that's based on load and gas pricing. So, and they're typically running about 6 to 8 hours a day, and starting about 1 or 2 o'clock and going about till 9 or 10. And Jake and Tyler and Mike have been alternating doing those runs for us. So you probably noticed or seen the crews on 3rd North. That line's now basically completely done. That rebuild, with the exception of, seems like every project, we got to wait for the communication companies to move to the new poles, and then we can pull the old poles out. But as far as our side of things, that project is now complete. And if you go up there now, it's straight. The old line, was done a little piece at a time over a lot of years, and it wasn't straight at all. And so it'll be good project, and it gives us a tie between the circuit that goes down 300 East and the circuit that goes down Main Street. And so if we lost one of the freeway crossings or something like that, we could use that to connect basically both circuits to one and feed everyone. In fact, we just there's the other major project we'll try to do this year is the Main Street substation, the 69 kV portion. We opened the steel structure bids at 3 o'clock today. Actually received 3 bids, and we're just barely over the estimate on the low bidder. So that was actually really good news in today's world. The high bid was about 150%, so there was quite a discrepancy with those, but we'll be evaluating those bids, and they'll go to council next week for those structures. So on our solar applications, we had 8 in June, which is the lowest, second lowest since last October. But they continue to come in, and that's about the pace that we've been seeing, is 8 to 12 a month right now. So between myself and Nikki, we've been working on a couple of big documents that hopefully will be coming your way by the next meeting. They're about 60 to 70 pages of easy technical reading for you. Put you to sleep at night. I'm hoping to be able to present those at our next meeting. We're just doing some of the final edits and waiting for drawings to come back from the engineer to incorporate into.
Average car payment in the U.S. climbed to a record of $712.
You there, Mike?
I am now, yes. Sorry.
Okay, we moved and did kind of the Washington City report side of things, and then we'll circle back on the solar project recommendation to the council here to give you an update of where we're at. Overall, things have gone really well on the system. We've had a few small outages, bad connectors on secondaries, those kind of things. Fortunately, one of the things, we sent our crew, truck and a couple of our crew over to Santa Clara. They had a pole that the communication line was snagged by a truck and broke it. So they gave us a call and requested some help. So we were able to go over and help them repair this pole. So fortunately, it didn't come all the way down, but they had a fairly extensive outage on part of their system for a while. And it's good working relationship we have with the other local utilities. When we need extra help, it'll someday be our turn. We'll have to call them and say, hey, can you run over and help us? And I know they will. So we've had a lot of new subdivisions going in, contractors, working with them to energize them. Our safety meeting this past month was on our SCADA system and how to use it and some of the information available to the crews on that. We completed our annual inventory count and spot checks with the finance department, and that went well. We still look for ways to improve, and we're making progress on that each year. And we're putting together the material list. Another project we'll have this year is we're going to rebuild the lower circuit on the line that goes out Telegraph from 300 East towards 1100 East. It's a smaller wire. And so we'll be putting a bigger, heavier conductor on that. And there's a few poles we'll have to change out, and then of course replace the wire and the cross arms that go with that. So we're just in the process of bidding and getting that material coming in. So depending on when we get the materials, when we'll start on a lot of these projects at this point. I don't dare speculate too much. I'm kind of nervous right now to take something out of service and then not get the parts we need to put it back in. So particularly the substation, I'm not going to take the front end out of that until we know we have everything to finish it when we do it. Any questions on that as far as I'm going to call it kind of the local system and on there? So I don't know, Todd, if you want to turn the baton back to Board Member Dismore, or?
Yeah, Mike, we'll go ahead and turn it back to you. We've already done the approval, motions and approvals for the minutes and the agenda. So,
And I think it's best just you go ahead, because being on my phone, I don't have the agenda right there in front of me. You just continue on.
okay, all right, that's fine. Do we approve the operations or just move on straight to the new business?
Normally we haven't approved the operations. It's a report item. So
Go on to the new business, and there was some information sent to us on the Still Solar project, and I believe everybody got a copy of that. Is that right? Okay. All right, we'll just turn the time over to you again, Rick, for the new business.
okay, thank you. These two projects, Steel Solar 1A and 1B, have been actually previously approved by this body as well as the City Council. Our participation level in 1A is about 1,300 kilowatts or 1.3 megawatts, and 1B about just a little over 5.7 megawatts. And it seems to be a reoccurring theme. These projects, due to supply issues, have both been delayed, and the developers came back to UAMPS with a force majeure. I don't say that really well, but claim on things outside of their control for the timing, and that primarily being the supply of the solar panels themselves, and that's prevalent throughout the industry right now. Most solar projects are being delayed, or in some cases even canceled. So this 1A project, we originally signed the power purchase agreement in December of 2020, and 1B was actually March of this year. With those things in mind and construction costs, the developer came back to UAMPS with that force majeure claim and has requested that the power purchase agreement be renegotiated, if you will, with two differences. One, they have requested, the original price was this $31.35 per megawatt hour, and it's a flat on this project, going to $34.66, which is about a 10% increase. And then they're pushing the commercial operation date of 1A to September 30th of 2023, and 1B, December 31st of 2023. So basically, they wouldn't be available to us until the summer of 2024, for our peak loading times. So 1A's just under a year push, and 1B is about a 6-month push on that. We had lots of conversations at UAMPS. There are provisions in the contract that we could enforce damages and basically bow out of the contract. They did look at what other options would be out there. Can you get an equivalent project somewhere else? And the answer was no. Most of those projects, if you were to start now, would be after this date and a price point probably in the low 50s. So while nobody was thrilled about this, it still seems like our best option moving forward. And there's transmission issues on the Rocky Mountain system. Most of that capacity's been used up. And then again, everybody's having similar supply chain issues. So the other things that, again, this is the resolution that will be on the council agenda next week. Basically, I don't know, re-signs up for these projects with these new terms. I don't know if you have any questions about the projects.
Where do they get those dates and prices? I mean, are there any types of guarantees on those? Are they pretty comfortable with issuing those dates?
Yes, in the new contract, UAMPS added some language that the prices won't change even if there were to be another force majeure event. Just a simple paragraph that said the price isn't going to change even if these other things. So we're better protected this time around on the pricing. They basically have a window on either side of this. They have a no earlier date that's about 6 months ahead, and a no later date than 6 months behind the dates that are shown here. And so this is kind of their best, and they've said they've done their research and worked with their suppliers, which is, I believe, Longi. See if I can find that here.
And Rick, that's a fixed cost for the 25-year term. Is that right?
Correct.
That's right.
And again, the solar has its limitations. It's only going to be there when the sun shines. But the way I look at it, it is some level of capacity, and it's at a very attractive price. Again, most of the pricing we've been seeing the last several months have been $70 to $100 a megawatt hour. So any cheap resource, if you can call it that, is going to be good to have in our mix. So what we're asking the Power Board to do would be to recommend to the City Council to move forward and approve continued participation in these two projects. They were separate from a history standpoint. The 1B was originally not a UAMPS project. A different off-taker was going to use that, and then they backed out, and that's when it became available to UAMPS, and so that's why there's a 1A, 1B.
Rick, can you get some of that data that shows that these prices are still cheaper than what they would do to rebuild them? Just if you're going to present that to the council, I mean.
Yeah, I can get maybe a more official.
We just went through this on another board, and we just told it we had a big contract, and we just told them no. They're different situations, but we just said we signed a contract with you, hold to your contract.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And again, that could be done. I think what would happen at this point, I'm actually honestly don't know exactly how it would work if UAMPS moved forward and one of the participants didn't. Because I can guarantee you there's a line and one of them's really close to the west of us that would sign up for anything that we walk away from.
And I'm not saying walk away from it. I'm just saying that that was the experience we just had on
Yeah.
another
So
board I was on.
I can request from UAMPS to
just,
get a little more.
just to help the council understand, hey, we could go
Okay.
rebid this, but it'll probably be more money than what they're asking for. So, or just show what their additional costs are or something of that nature.
Okay.
And just like you said, we've done some generation the last few weeks or all of June. If we had this product, it would reduce our generation, correct? I mean, that is in the middle of the day that we've been running the generators.
Yes, it would probably, the first thing that I would probably not do is the summer purchase that we've been doing. That's been in the upper 100s that we've had to buy early for those. So that would be the first thing that we could either eliminate or at least reduce those summer purchases if we had this product, and the others that we're looking at in Enchant and Red Mesa and stuff coming up. So does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I guess the only other question is, would the city council want to see what the conditions are as far as if we were to back out, if there's monetary damages and things that would go to the city, or
What are the monetary damages?
I'd have to go back through the contract. I mean, there was stipulations that they had to do certain things, but
But my understanding is they're asking for the change, not us. So it's them breaking
Right.
the contract, not us.
which yeah, I mean they would suffer the damages.
You're saying them.
not the
Okay.
city. Yeah,
correct.
So yeah. Personally, I feel it would be more beneficial for us just to move forward with, because the rates do seem reasonable, and we are in need with the growth and everything else.
Yeah,
I just don't
I just
know
think
the
it
city.
helps. You guys have that experience. Like, I don't understand. I mean, it seemed minimal, right? But you guys still,
Well, that's fine. We can get more information and
just
just
a little
include
more
it in
might
the
help
packet.
some of them.
Yeah, I agree, Greg. I think it'd be great to get those comps, and we can still, I mean, if we all feel comfortable, we can still approve and move forward. We can get those comps in from those other organizations and pass it along to the city. We can review those and can make a final decision there. But I think it'd be interesting to see if it really is 75, 100, per megawatt, or to see if that's really accurate.
And it would probably be good to make sure that the comps are from another solar
Correct.
project
It has to be a
versus
similar.
somebody else.
And they've looked into that, and they should be able to provide that pretty easy to us. So I was just looking to see if in the notes that they sent, if they referenced any of that, but
Am I assuming correctly that solar is in general cheaper for utility purchase because the fact it is limited in the time usage that you can use it?
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep. It's not the same product as something that you can dispatch 24/7 as you want. So unless you couple it with batteries or some other form of storage, which sends the cost much higher. So
Hey, Rick,
yes.
what are the chances that that they don't get the supplies they need because of back order, whatever issues, or there is a second increase that the contractor drops this project? Is that a possibility?
I guess anything's always possible, but they have researched and they feel comfortable. I think if they were to totally walk away from the project, then there are clear damage clauses in the contract that would be invoked. So you'd get some monetary compensation, but you wouldn't have a resource. So then we still got to go find it.
With those dates, is there a penalty if they don't meet those dates at what, end of next year, year after?
There is again, the dates that were shown as COD, there are an early and a late completion in the contract as well. If they were to miss the late completion, there would be penalties,
Okay.
which is 6 months after the dates I showed you.
Yeah.
Rick, I would add to that a concern, well, not really a concern, but an addition. I agree with everybody here on, especially wanting to see the data, the comparables on that. I think that'd be important because it seems like everybody's crying those supply, the supply chain, whatever you want to call it these days.
No, that's
but-
true.
But if we don't buy in now, the risk of that, and I would say I'm all for moving forward in terms of locking it at least at this 34.66 per megawatt hour price, simply because if we don't do it now, what's going to come down the line, even if this project doesn't work, is going to be even more expensive than that. So that's just my 2 cents. But I would like to see the comparable. I think those are important for the
Okay.
council to consider too.
And remind me again, are we obligated to have so much renewable energy as a city?
Not at this point.
That may always come into play down the road, which appears that's, well.
Depends
yeah,
on who's in charge in
administration.
the White House and
Yeah.
whatnot. So,
Which would be beneficial for us to have in place if something like that did
Definitely.
come down.
definitely. Yeah, because the current administration goal is to have all power carbon free by 2035 is what their stated goal is. And that's not that far away.
Yeah, I think that's another thing to consider too. All right, any other
Well,
questions? Oh,
So if you're okay to move forward, you certainly can. If not, I could get the information and we could do a quicker one agenda item meeting later. Probably the impact to that would be pushing from, on the council side, from the 13th to the 27th to give some time in there. So it's up to you. We can make it work. UAMPS has requested to get responses back by the end of the month. So we have a little wiggle room if you're more comfortable with that, or if you're comfortable with making the recommendation to council, and then we can have that information available for the council as well. So it's up to how you guys want to approach it.
I agree. It would be interesting to have those figures. From the what's been said, it appears that we're leaning towards the direction of approving or recommending that we move forward. What are your thoughts? Should we postpone or?
My thoughts, we recommend. How, you said by the end of the month, they should provide us those comps, or how quickly?
Oh, I think they
How
could get
quickly do you
those
think we can have those?
relatively fast.
I mean, within the next, by the end of the week?
Probably, yes.
Yeah. My opinion is we would recommend approving it, sending it off to the council, and get the information at that time, and then
To supply to the
Council can-
council as well.
council
Okay.
can look at that information as well and make a,
And I guess we could always motion to approve with that stipulation in there that that the council has those numbers provided to
that's
them.
I think that's the way to go. I agree with that. So as long as the council has those numbers and that we get to take a look at those.
Okay.
And if there's any question, we can revisit it later.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm confident that council can look at the figures and tear them apart if necessary.
I don't know. Have you seen the council?
That'd be nice to me.
All right. In that case, if we could go ahead and have a motion.
I'll move to recommend.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark has made the motion to approve that we move forward. Recommend to the city council that we move forward as long as they have the numbers. And Andy has a second. Dick, you want to go ahead and start?
Saunders, aye.
Okay, Mike.
Dinsmore, aye.
Okay, Mark.
Hauser, aye.
Andy.
Palmer, aye.
And Spriggs, aye.
Okay, thank you. I'll get that request into UAMPS and see if we can get a little more detail. So,
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, any other new business we need to go over?
not on that. On this one, it's mostly
UAMPS report?
yeah. Actually, I'll give you some exciting pictures on 300 North that I forgot.
I love your pictures.
Anyway, you can, on all these pictures, you'll see the old poles sitting near to the existing ones cut off down to the communication level. Again, you can see some of them are fairly close, others are quite a long ways away from the existing poles. So, and they rebuild it all the way to even the single phase on the west side of Main Street. So that whole line's all been rebuilt from 300 to east to 100, 200 west. So chipping away at the interesting lines we've had over the last few years. So on the UAMPS report, actually should be fairly brief on these. Our June meetings were held in conjunction with the APPA National Conference that was held in Nashville. And only 4 of the projects met officially, just due to time limitations on Wednesday morning when we met. Just do a quick report on the national conference. Really good meetings, good topics. Believe it or not, one of the topics was supply chain issues and how people are addressing it and things that the industry can do. APPA's trying to get some of the efficiency rules relaxed temporarily from the EPA that the manufacturers claim could speed up the delivery of distribution transformers. I'm not convinced of how much difference that really will make, but they're working to do their best. Non-carbon power sources. In fact, UAMPS did a presentation on the carbon-free power project as part of the convention. And electric vehicle was a hot topic, and battery storage, and some of the demonstration projects that some of the larger, like Sacramento Municipal Utility District is doing. Their, they have hundreds of thousands of customers, so they're able to stick their toe in some of those demonstration projects a little easier than we can. But it was interesting to hear some of their successes and challenges in doing that. So pretty much the battery storage is limited to about 4 hours is what the industry is kind of targeting. So you can stretch that, the output of the solar or wind a little bit or flatten it out. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that. The other UAMPS kind of conference item, I think I put in front of you all the invitation that UAMPS sent for the UAMPS member conference that'll be in Logan this year. Had some discussions. I think some of you have signed up. If you're able, let myself or Nikki know, and we'll get you a motel room. And then you do need to go on. There's a link there. Go in and register and sign up for some of the activities. It doesn't matter to me what activity you do, so that needs to be yours. And there are activities for your spouses as well if they choose to go. So if you're able, we'd love to have you, and I think it would be good. And you can see the topics that are on the agenda there. And it's I guess, well, Logan, and they do one in Heber. Those will be the two closest. They rotate through 4 locations. So, and we're trying to get that wrapped up by the end of the week. So if you could even give us a thumbs up or thumbs down by the end of the week, we understand. You have families, school starting, that kind of stuff makes it a bit of a challenge that week, at least for this area. On the Central St. George project, the main thing to report there is the remedial action scheme on the transformers with Rocky Mountain. They were able to get it in service mid to late May. And so that just provides us a little bit of breathing room if one of the transformers up there were to fail. So that was good to get in service after, it's been a couple years working on that with them, getting it to that point. The Nebo project in Payson has been running really well. Right now they're running between 16 to 20 hours a day. I would suspect if from the temperatures this weekend and if it stays hot up north, a similar trend, that'll probably transition to more of a 24/7 operation there on that project. The Vale plant, we're typically getting between 1/2 a megawatt to about 3/4 of a megawatt, but it did get as high as a little over 900 kilowatts for a few hours last month. So that just tells you somebody's using gas downstream, and so they're compressing it. And again, that's the waste heat project. We haven't made too much progress. We are pursuing, looking into, and primarily because there's not a lot of information coming from the federal government on grant possibilities for AMI, the automated metering system that I think would be real beneficial. And so we're pursuing with UAMPS and other UAMPS members of what opportunities there might be to at least secure some funds towards that. I doubt they would pay for the whole thing, but we'll see what's available. But there hasn't been a lot of guidance given out from the federal government of what qualifies, what doesn't, and how to proceed with that. I don't have any more details to report on the Red Mesa Solar project other than it's not as good as Steel Solar as far as the price increase they're asking for. Of course, they started out at a much lower price point in the low 20s. UAMPS continues to negotiate with them, the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority. That they're supposed to have a presentation to the PMC at our July meetings in a couple weeks, and then we'd have that at our next meeting here. Again, similar issues going on there, but again, their price that they're asking for is quite a bit higher percentage-wise than the steel one. So just be prepared for that when it comes. On the Enchant project, again, we don't have any significant update on that. That's the carbon capture on the coal plant in New Mexico. Again, hopefully we'll have more details at the UAMPS July meetings. The Muddy Creek project which is the other heat recovery project up in Wyoming. We approved additional funds to pursue some of the study work that still needs to be done there, and they're working on refining the construction costs. Again, anything that was done more than a few days ago, they want to review, relook at. In fact, digressing just a little bit, the steel bid that I talked about, one of them shows it valid for 5 days. So I've got to have a chat with them, and especially if they turn out to be the low bidder, how we can make it to city council meeting, which is a little over a week away. So, and I'm sure they'll work with us, but that's the kind of bids and the notes you're seeing that it's like take it right now or it's off the table. So, CRISP, the hydro project, again, the drought that hasn't changed, and so it's the same concerns. The output is less, and again, that just puts pressure on the whole system and pricing. Our wind projects actually have done fairly well. They've had capacity factors in the low to mid 30s, which is pretty good for the wind projects. We're still waiting on study results on the repowering of Horse Butte Wind, which might give us an opportunity to get a little more wind up there. And the last one is, in fact, this is hot off the press. Jackie sent me this as the meeting started, so I haven't even looked at this. Other than this is the UAMPS report that they presented at the meetings a couple weeks ago. So this is on the carbon-free power project. The class 3 estimate is still on time and on under budget, which is a cool thing to hear. The Fluor, who's is the constructor of the project, they've started their review, and then they'll send it off. Once they get through with their review, they'll send it to UAMPS, and the UAMPS engineers will review that as well. And it's late August is when I'm hoping to see a presentation on what this shows. Again, it's refining the estimate, and in light of everything we've talked about, that'll be very interesting to see how that turns out. The combined license application is on track. They have these matrix that, you know, they're 21% complete, and planned was 17, so they're a little bit ahead of schedule there. And they're still planning on being ready to submit that to the NRC in January of 2024. And again, you're seeing this about the same time I am, so I had a different thing to present, but I figured since we got this, we'd look at it. So, but they are working with, you know, the emergency response requirements and those kind of things with Idaho Falls. Again, the good thing with our project is there's already reactors on the site, and they already have most all, if not all, of the infrastructure needed to respond in the area. Some pictures, you know, they're doing the weather data, weather tower, and it looks like they've completed some more of their soils and site testing requirements that will be needed in the design. They're working really hard with the tribes that are in the area to make sure all the cultural and other surveys are done properly. It looks like they're about halfway done. Said they've, you know, 322, and there's an additional 308 that needs to be reviewed. And so they've been working, Sean's been working really hard to keep a really good relationship with the tribes up there. That was a big concern when the project started, and I think they realize that we're trying to work with them, not against them, and making it successful for everyone. There are some opportunities for site work that they're at least looking into, of identifying activities that could be done before the COLA is completely approved, that would be lower risk, not design, you know, related of the plant itself. And they work with, and I think this is one of the significant things that we haven't had in previous estimates, is We now have Excel on board as the operator, and they're going to be able to provide a lot of good information on staffing and cost associated with operating the plant. And they operate several other reactors in different locations, so they're going to bring that expertise and help improve that estimate. And looks like I got ahead on that one, but they do meet often with the tribes and making sure they're up to speed on what's going on. So I guess the long and the short of the carbon-free project, it's staying on track. Again, the biggest challenge is subscription. I don't believe it's changed. Grant's supposed to, up in Oregon, is supposed to announce, or excuse me, in Washington, their participation or not in July is what they've told us. So that will be, you know, if they'll willing to sign on the dotted line, that'll be a major step forward. And so I'm hoping that they continue on, because they have a second project that they're looking at within their service boundaries. So, but they claim they have a need for both. So that's my UAMPS report. Again, that was kind of brief this time because we really didn't have a full slate of meetings. This next set of meetings in July, every project will meet for budget reasons and reviews that we have to do at the end of the fiscal year. So it'll go from 4 meetings to about 16. So it'll make up for the easier meetings in June. So any questions? Okay. My only other one, that before we get too far, and I don't know if Mike presented or talked to anyone, but I have a conflict in the August meetings. And so Jeremy's recommendation was maybe to cancel. There could be a chance we might have a action item that we might have to do a special meeting. Again, I'm going back to visit my son, and he had a 1-week window, and it happened to be on that window. So
Well, that's good. Yeah, if there's not anything urgent, and if there is an action item or something that can be sent to us or let us know. Other than that, I think we would all be very disappointed, but we would be okay to cancel.
and some of you I know will be attending the UAMPS meetings, and so you're spending quite a bit of time and effort to do that too. So
Yeah, just curiosity, who is planning on attending? Or I think I am gonna go. You're gonna go? You guys have families and
yeah. Okay, that would be great. Okay,
Okay.
I appreciate it.
good.
So then you can,
That'll be extra incentive. Melon on the head or something like that.
so yeah, we would love to have you at those meetings if you can. And
They
again,
are
if we can
very
make
informative.
August kind of an as needed basis, I'd appreciate that understanding. So.
Okay, I think we go ahead and plan on that. I think that's good.
And I suspect if one came up, it would be possibly Red Mesa, similar approval with similar issues, and maybe an outside chance on Enchant. But I suspect that one might be another month later.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. We do have a visitor here with us. Did you have a question for the board? No, I don't. Okay. All right. Well, always glad to see those visiting with us. Mike, do you have anything else or any questions?
I do not have any questions or anything. No.
All right. Well, I think that concludes all of our items. We can go ahead and have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Mark.
I'll second that.
Okay, and Dick second. Mike.
Dinsmore, aye.
Okay, Dick.
Saunders, aye.
Okay, Mark.
How's our eye?
Andy.
Palmer, aye.
Spriggs aye. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Rick,
Yeah, thank you, Rick.
and Councilman Coates. Thanks, man.